Hey guys, so today I am reviewing my TED Talk. It's called Why We All Need to Practice Emotional First Aid. And then I chose this particular one because I don't exactly pay enough attention to my emotional well-being. You know, there's a lot going on there, usually all the time. But this presenter, really laid it out nicely. So he kind of started out by talking about a little boy he had seen at a friend's house who was 5 years old, standing on the step stool in the bathroom, was brushing his teeth, and he slipped on the step stool and he had scraped his knee. And when he had got done crying, he stood back up on the step stool and reached for the Band-Aids, and he put one on his knee. And so this little boy at 5 years old, he understood, I need to brush my teeth and take care of my teeth. I need to take care of this cut on my leg, cover it up, make sure it doesn't get infected. But what does this 5-year-old know about his psychological well-being and taking care of his emotional health? That's not really something that we, tend to pass on or educate kids about, or even ourselves as adults. My parents didn't exactly educate me on taking care of my psychological well-being. They're just, eat better food and go exercise and get out of the house and go play. There wasn't a whole lot of talk about handling emotions and stuff. So he had brought up 3 or 4 key points in here. So psychological injuries are basically failure, rejection, loneliness, and then the final one he had added was rumination, and that's to kind of chew things over. You replay the scene over and over and over again, and that's something that I do all too often. So loneliness is kind of defined by being emotionally or socially disconnected from others, and it can distort your perceptions and mislead you into believing things. And while I talk a lot and spend a lot of time around people, I am kind of a lonely person inside. I've isolated myself from the world around me, or if someone asks if I'm okay, yeah, I'm great, I'm doing fine, or everything's perfect, and, I got this and that going on. I distract by throwing some sort of key moment in my life out there. But, yeah. So, loneliness can lead to feelings of helplessness, and helplessness actually can affect your physical health. And feeling helpless, it can lead to cardiac disease or heart failure. It can lead to high blood pressure. It can lead to clinical depression. And one of the other points he brought up was rejection. Whether it's a relationship or an idea, or, you're a little kid and you're wanting to play with other kids and they don't want to play with you, and that just hurts your feelings. And, if you had got a cut on your leg, you would definitely tend to that wound. Why aren't we dealing with the rejection that the child had felt? And rejection is a big deal because that affects your self-esteem, which is kind of what's your defining point of self-worth. And self-worth, that that's such a tipping scale in so many people's lives. And like the presenter had said already, if you had got a cut on your arm, comparable to your self-esteem, you were out on a date or something and the guy walked off 10 minutes in and your feelings are hurt, the first thing you're going to do is think, oh, well, of course he walked away from me, I'm too fat, or I'm not interesting enough, or, he's up here on this pedestal and I'm down here in the mud. So if you get a cut on your arm, you're not going to stab a knife in there and see how, much worse you can make that cut. Why would you do that to your emotional health? And that was a perspective I hadn't heard on this before, and that really makes a lot of sense because I feel more often than not that I'm the queen of self-deprecating, tearing myself down over and over. It kind of started out as a comical point, and now it's just kind of something I've defined myself as, and that's kind of a key reason why I picked this TED Talk, the emotional well-being, and kind of a new starting point in my life, not having to have all these outside factors influencing my well-being anymore, and I get to make choices for me now and my kids. And the rumination that he had addressed earlier, that is something that I do often. Well, if I had done XYZ different, then my life would have turned out differently, or I presented this idea that I thought was great, or I had a conversation, with a coworker that I thought went really well, and they were going to take my advice, and, now I'm in trouble for something because I stepped out of my lane, which is something that I need to tone down as well. But this presenter, I would encourage you to look it up because he explained it so great. Again, it was called Why We All Need to Practice Emotional First Aid. He's an identical twin. His brother is also a doctorate in psychology, just like he is. And yeah, so he's got a lot of the comparison going on and feeling like he may have not been up to snuff in certain areas of his life, or his perspective was a little off kilter from his brother's, and it was just really refreshing to hear. But I did learn a lot about a healthier perspective from this video, and I think that you guys might like it as well. All right, thanks guys.